What is up, everybody, and welcome back to Two Boys,
Two bo- One Piece.
One Piece, baby. Let's go. And today we're gonna be talking about Jaya and Skypeia. This is gonna be simultaneously. It's gonna be the shortest video, but it's also like because it's two arcs technically, but the arcs they're kind of long. I don't know.
It's interesting. It's kind of they're really interconnected. But Jaya's short enough to really connect with Skypeia. Like it's short enough to where it's like you can kind of count them together.
Yeah, basically. But this will be an interesting episode, so thanks for coming back on the channel, and let's get started with the Jaya arc.
Let's get started.
So Nico Robin has joined the crew.
We start off from pretty much right after Alabasta, right?
Yeah, basically right after Alabasta popped off, Nico Robin's on the crew, and how this whole thing starts is the log post starts pointing straight up into the sky.
Right. They're because they're headed towards like an autumn island, and then they get like just a giant ship falls on them.
Yeah, that's
like
right.
nearly falls on them.
Yo, I forgot about
this
that,
part.
bro. That's crazy.
No, the sky turns black, and a ship like nearly falls on them.
Oh, and this is important because we see giant shadows in the sky too,
Mm-hmm.
like giant silhouettes in the sky.
Giant shadows, and then after they get out of the storm, they're during the Luffy salvages a map from the ship too, of Skypeia, mythical Sky Island,
Yeah.
And after the storm, their log post is pointing straight up.
Straight up, but luckily they're close enough to a town. What was it? It's Jaya technically, but
yeah, the island is Jaya. I think it's Mocktown.
Mocktown
I believe is the name of it.
Because it used to be Jaya a long time ago, but basically what happened is a bunch of pirates basically just started slumming it out there.
Yeah. Just because why not?
Because it was basically empty.
Yeah.
And so we go there, and there's some more character development for Luffy because he ends up eating at a bar, and he gets made fun of
because he wants to go to the Sky Island.
Yeah, he gets made fun of because he asks what the Sky Island's about, and everybody laughs at him. And Nami gets upset because she's like, "Why didn't you beat them up?" And this is a cool callback to Chapter 1.
To Chapter 1, yeah.
Because Luffy was upset at Shanks for not doing the same thing, but he's learned at this point. Shanks taught him, "Hey man, it ain't that big a deal."
Yeah, they can beat you down, spit on you, but that don't matter as long as they but the minute they touch your friends, that's when it gets serious.
And at the same bar, he ends up meeting Blackbeard for like a quick second, and they exchange. Like Blackbeard gives him like a respect almost. I'm pretty sure like he gives like a.
Yeah, he's like, "Hey, the Skyland is out there."
Yeah, like believe in what you believe in. Like don't let anybody get you down. Basically.
Yeah, follow your dreams.
Follow your dreams. Which Blackbeard's a vibe so far. I'm kind of liking his character.
Yeah.
It's interesting that, we'll discuss it in a little bit. But it's interesting that Blackbeard is just this random ass pirate, considering Blackbeard in history is like probably one of the biggest pirates.
Yeah, he's like probably the most notorious one.
Yeah.
I also like the fact that he really doesn't have a beard.
He doesn't even introduce himself as Blackbeard to Luffy. Actually,
no.
It's we learned this after the fact.
Yeah, even this. Yeah.
So Luffy ends up meeting with Mont Blanc Cricket.
Yeah, because he's looking for more information on the Sky Island, and they point him to the weirdo at the edge of town.
Island, and he has half a house.
Yeah.
And so Cricket is like, he starts going over the story of Nolan the Liar, which Sanji says that he read about this fairy tale in the North Blue.
It's a famous like children's tale in the North Blue.
Yeah. Which is interesting because we met Sanji in the East Blue, so I wonder when he moved.
Yeah, I don't know how he ended up there.
But we still don't know how the world really works yet, so. We still don't.
No.
We still don't really know much of the outer world. We spent so much time in the Grand Line at this point.
Yeah.
And we haven't really spent time in any of the major 4 sections of the world.
I mean, we had East Blue.
But that's it.
Yeah, and that's it. Then we went after the Grand Line, and
We've
then
been in the Grand Line longer now than we were on East Blue.
yeah.
But and so yeah.
Yeah, you continue.
Okay, yeah, the story goes, so Nolan was exploring the Grand Line hundreds of years ago, and he comes across the City of Gold, and then he returns home, and he tells the king, hey man, I found the City, the Gold, and the king was like, oh, bet, and then they go back, because, it's just kind of like, I never really thought about this until right now, but this is kind of like Christopher Columbus, huh?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that when I was reading this arc. That's crazy. Man, I must be built stupid, actually. That's crazy. Because of all the parallels are right there.
There's a lot of parallels.
Except Nolan is a good guy.
Yeah, no, he's
not.
He's not Christopher Columbus.
Yeah, he's definitely not Christopher Columbus. Anyway, so he tells the king, and so the king's like, "Oh, let's go back," but it was gone, and so the king was angry at him, and he was like, "Oh, it must have sank to the bottom of the ocean."
Yeah.
But nobody believed him, and so they executed him.
Yeah, they executed him,
and his whole family was shamed, basically.
Yeah, to his death, he kept saying that it must have sunk to the end of the ocean. Yeah. People thought he was just making excuses.
Yeah. And so, Cricket, this is the kind of thing where you would think he'd be upset at his ancestor for basically, like, because this is still traveled down all the way down the generations, like, that's the reason he lives isolated on the edge of the island.
Yeah.
But Cricket doesn't let it get him down. He still wants to prove that what Nolan said was true. And so every day he goes underwater to search for gold or any proof that
it's down there.
Yeah, Nolan wasn't a liar, basically.
Yeah, that the city actually did sink.
But he also come up with the idea that maybe it went into the sky, because all the log poses pointing up there, and all the people saying that a sky island exists. But nobody's ever like you need a really sturdy boat to go up there.
Yeah, there's a way up there.
Yeah, he tells him.
He knows about it.
He knows a way up there, but he knows that if the Sky Island doesn't exist, it's basically just suicide.
Yeah. So it's a real gamble here.
And so it's the knock-up stream, a huge geyser that shoots out of the ocean. And so he's like, "I'll prepare you guys' boat so you can go up there." And then meanwhile, his boat gets stolen. His gold that he collected up to this point from going underwater. Basically scuba diving, except without scuba gear. He's just built that different. His gold, and it's stolen by Bellamy, who was making fun of Luffy at the bar a lot.
Yeah, he's
now
that.
Luffy has a reason to kick his ass for real.
Yeah.
And so that's what he does. And this is when we find out that Luffy's bounty has been upgraded from 30,000 to 100 million berries.
I thought it was 30 million, right?
It was 30 million to 100 million.
Yeah, so that's a bit like a big upgrade.
Because Alabasta just happened, and he took down
one of the seven warlords,
which the government knows, but like the rest of the world doesn't know because they
it just happened.
Yeah. And so he beats up Luffy, and then that's basically all of Jaya, honestly. All you need to know. Pretty much. So and then they go on the knock-up stream, and they fly all the way up to Sky Island, and meanwhile Blackbeard is like, "Oh, let's try and catch up to them," but he misses them by the geyser.
Yeah, he get caught up in the geyser. His ship even gets destroyed in that.
Yeah, and he's like, "Well, it was fate, I guess. We were not fated to hang out at this moment."
Yep, we'll meet them again.
Yeah. And then we cut to a distant part of the land, into the government headquarters, where the 7 warlords have been called upon, except only 3 of them showed up to this meeting. We meet Bartholomew
Kuma.
Kuma and Don Quixote do Flamingo. as well as Mihawk, who just showed up because he happened to be in the area. I think all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, Kuma showed up because he's a good boy.
Yeah, Kuma shows up because he follows the government.
And
Doflamingo just
Doflamingo and Mihawk just showed up because they were in the area and they were bored.
yeah, just because they showed up, just cause.
And the meeting is basically just to discuss what's happening. Who's gonna replace Crocodile as one of the 7 warlords. And we also Shanks at the same time is trying to contact Whitebeard. But Whitebeard won't have any of it unless Shanks comes himself.
Yeah.
And that's basically that's basically Jaya.
Pretty much it. And then Blackbeard, one of Blackbeard's crewmates, goes and recommends him for being the
right, yeah,
the warlord.
New warlord. Blackbeard gets. That's when we learn his. I think this is when we learn his name, and who he really was.
Yeah, this is when we learn Blackbeard, and that he was a previous crewmate of Whitebeard.
But he's not anymore. He's the captain now.
Mm-hmm.
He defected out of the Whitebeard pirates.
Yeah, no.
But that's not important for the rest of this arc, so that's the last time we're going to be bringing up Blackbeard in this arc.
Yep, because the rest of the arc is completely separate from the rest of the story.
Yeah, basically, like, if Drum Island was disconnected from Alabasta, Skypeia is disconnected from the grander One Piece narrative, basically.
Pretty much. I can't really think of, like, any... I can think of one, like, benefit. The one thing that sticks around afterwards, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, later. But hey, so we arrive at Skypeia, and the Straw Hats are floating on clouds.
Yep, they're just kind of.
Doesn't Luffy jump off to see if he can swim in the clouds?
I think he does.
And then he starts drowning,
it works.
and he starts falling deeper and deeper.
Yeah, no, it works the same as the regulation. Still, just Devil Fruit users cannot swim, even in clouds.
So they get attacked by monkeys or some shit. I don't know.
By one of the Shandians.
Oh, okay. But they get saved by a guy named Gamfor.
Yeah. He comes out of nowhere and
and he's like, "Hey, you guys couldn't fight because the air is thin up here." And then the straw. This is never brought up again. The Straw Hats got used to it. Frame 1 after that. They're like, it is a little thin. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's a little thin up here.
People in Colorado be like,
I know.
And so they reach the entrance to Skypeia, where they have to pay 7 billion extol. I figured it out. Cool.
Extol.
That's the currency. But they don't know what that means, so they basically say.
I mean, Sheila, the old lady that was like going like that was asking for the fee, she just lets him pass.
Yeah, she doesn't even like, and then she calls them. She calls the authorities on him afterwards, and I'm just like, bro, why did you tell them in 7 billion extol? They have no point of reference for how much that actually is in terms of their currency.
I mean, she even like knew that they were from the Blue Sea, they call it.
Yeah, the Blue Sea.
But I don't know. this whole a lot of conflict could have been avoided.
It was like 70,000 berries. They could have afforded it.
Yeah, no, it was cheap compared to what they had at the time.
And so I really gotta say, I was listening to our old videos and I say "and so."
And so
almost every time I start a sentence.
Well, I mean, I guess that's a. It's a transition.
It is a transition. I really need to keep it down though, man. But anyway,
all right.
The crewmates reach Angel Island. That's funny. That is called Angel Island. Actually.
Oh yeah, it is called Angel Island.
Bro, Knuckles about to show up, bro.
Cool.
Where they meet Konus and Pagaya. And this is where we get introduced to Skypeian technology, which is really dope. Which is like, this is how it feels so separate from the rest of the series.
Yeah, because it's the only place that these things called dials show up, and dials are really cool. They're like shell. Yeah, they're they're so useful in their own way. But they're their own. They're like shells, right?
Yeah, they're basically shells, and they can record. They can record audio. They can absorb like wind and like smells.
Yeah, they can store things. I think the most prevalent one being used is the impact dial, which
Yeah,
basically just you hit it real hard and then it stores that
it stores the
impact
basically like
for
storing the
later.
kinetic energy. And
Yeah,
turning it almost,
yeah. Basically, it turns like kinetic energy into potential energy
and then
to
releases
be
it again.
used later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey man, Black Panther's suit be like
Yeah.
basically the same thing. And so they find out one of the main devices is a waver, that uses a dial. I think it probably uses the impact dial or something.
It uses
Wind
the
dial.
wind dial.
But it,
Stores the wind.
basically like a like a surfboard. um,
It's like a
a
jet
jet
ski.
ski. It's like a jet ski. That's a way better word. I couldn't think of the word. And so Nami goes on it, and she accidentally ends up at the upper yard because she just goes out so far.
Yeah, they just Connus just kind of lets her borrow the waiver.
And then
Um,
she misses at the upper yard, and she sees somebody getting clapped. I'm pretty sure. And then we move on, and then she gets back into the ship because she's like, "Guys, I just saw some shit."
yeah, I think I think mentioned something about was it something about the commie?
I
Is that
think
when she
so.
witnesses that?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, she just witnesses somebody gets erased by just from like mentioning something bad about the commie.
Yeah. And so they're like, all right, we gotta move so that we don't like get arrested, basically.
Yeah.
And so Nami, Chopper, Robin, and Zoro go on the ship while Luffy, Sanji go get food and stuff from like Konis because they're like gonna give them supplies. And while that happens, the ship gets basically took. They like
Yeah, it gets kidnapped.
it gets kidnapped by one of the
by the
priests.
or it gets kidnapped by the lobster.
Oh, by the lobster. Oh, you're right.
Yeah. Which we later figure out that Connus did that.
Yeah, so yeah, we find out that Connus betrayed them, even though she didn't want to. But it's
just because everybody's so afraid of this commie figure.
Kami that we haven't met yet. And so Luffy, Usopp, and Sanji steal a boat, and now they're on their way to meet up with the rest of the crew. And somebody gets struck by lightning, I'm pretty sure, at this point, and that shows the Kami's power.
Somebody talks bad about the commie and just...
Because the Kami is, like, all hearing, which, you know. And then, so they end up going through a boat, and they end up going through these things called the ordeals. And there's, like, 4 or 5 of them, but they end up going through the ordeal of balls.
Yeah. There's one for, like, each of the, I don't know. Do we meet the Kami's vassals at this point?
I think I guess this is a good part to bring them up. I don't know where they come up sequentially. I don't remember, but we meet the Kami's vassals, who are just like, I think they're referred to as priests. No, or is that just Gadatsu?
I don't know.
I don't remember. Whatever. I'll just call them vassals from now on. And they're basically just a group of like elites who are really good at fighting, who work for the Kami, in order to maintain peace and keep everybody out of the upper yard, because the upper yard is the island that went missing.
No, we don't.
Is that spoilers?
Yeah, that's spoilers. But
this is a spoiler discussion.
Yeah, that's a spoiler discussion. But
whatever, they don't know that it's basically like a regular piece of land, like not made out of clouds.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to protect it because it works a lot.
Yeah, it's made out of dirt. They call it, the angels call it Vars.
Vars, yeah, that's a word.
Yeah.
And so Luffy's group goes there, and the ordeal balls was pretty fun. All the balls have random shit in them, like some of them will blow up, and some of them just have like flowers in them. They defeat Satori. Sanji busts out a new move.
Yeah. Luffy has a dragon on him. Luffy sends the dragon back into him. Big explosion. Yeah.
And then we cut back to the ship, and Chopper gets attacked by Ashura, not Ashura, Shandorian. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then oh right, the whistle. Gone 4 gave them a whistle to call, to
Mm.
call them. And
Yeah,
Chopper rings the whistle to have him show up and help him.
yeah, because one of the vassals shows up at the merry-go.
And he starts beating up the merry-go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because he's, I don't know, somebody's really injured, I think. Or, oh no, he just sets the merry-go on fire.
Yeah, he's the merry-go on
Chopper
fire.
can't fight.
And like the other guys left because they're like, we're not gonna get nothing done here. So Zoro, Nami, Robin, they leave. And Chopper's left to fend for the ship, and he needs to protect the ship because that's where he was left for.
Yeah.
At this, Nami, Zoro, and Robin return. They all meet up at an altar at some point. After the ordeal, and Chopper gets saved by Gen 4.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where they meet up. And Nolan's logbook, something about the city of gold. And they realize,
Yeah,
they
Shandora.
look at the map and they realize that they're on the map.
Yeah.
That of Jaya, basically the missing part of Jaya.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so they're like, okay, we need to head to this eye, basically.
Yeah, because Nolan's logbook mentions he found gold in the right eye I think.
Oh, this I knew I was Bill stupid because I thought they were going in the wrong eye the whole time, but I realized I was looking at the map upside down. I realized I was looking at the map differently than they were, so I thought.
Nice,
So
nice.
I was like, why are they going to that eye? Usopp's at the ship at this point, and in the middle of the night, a weird figure shows up, fixing the merry-go-round.
Yeah, because they're having a party, and then they look back and something's fixing the merry-go, which I don't
knows?
think it's not answered in this
No,
arc.
it's definitely not answered in this arc.
And
It is brought up again in G8, but you didn't watch a G8.
I never got told to.
Yeah, I'm sorry, man. That could have been a good way to end this. To end this video particularly, but talk about the anime because we've been talking exclusively manga for the entire run length.
Mm-hmm.
But then this is a good point to introduce the central conflict that's going on outside of the Straw Hats. So we find out that there's this race of people called the Shandorians, and basically their birth land was the Vars.
Yeah, they came from. They were the native people on Jaya who got launched up.
Yeah.
Who got stranded on Skypeia when the island got launched up to Skypeia.
And so that's their land, but the Kami took it. And so now they're trying to get it back. That's the major conflict going on. And we meet Wiper, the leader. And this is the most important one. I don't even remember all the other names for all the other characters.
Yeah, no, I don't. I remember. Yeah, I really remember Wiper.
Wiper, and he has a he has a cool dial.
Oh yeah, he has a reject dial.
A reject dial, which is like the same as an impact dial, except it like 50 times stronger, and it'll blow your arm off if you're not strong enough to handle the blow.
Yeah.
And he uses it like 2 or 3 times. Like he really shouldn't have used it that many times.
No, because it's like, it's like, because all the force, like it takes impact and then it multiplies it by 10. But all this force goes directly back into you too. So it's like holding like a cannon, like a handheld cannon in your arms.
In your arm, yeah.
Like that would like break your arm. It does a lot of damage to your body.
He uses it as a finisher. Multiple times. And this is when we get introduced to the main villain of this arc, the Kami that's been hyped up to this point, Enel.
Yeah.
Or Eneru, or or
Yeah, I
Eneru
don't.
if you're watching the dub.
I
Eneru.
yeah,
I don't
I
know.
just said it in error
I just said Eneru too the whole time I was reading.
because that's what I translated. So
More recently, I've been saying Enel because that's I make sense. I guess
yeah,
but
the wiki says NL. The translation says Ineru. The or the dub says Eneru.
Eneru.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know, dude. It doesn't. It doesn't matter. I think we're just gonna keep calling him Eneru from this point on.
Yeah, I'll just call him Eneru because that sounds good in my head.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. It doesn't matter. So he starts this thing called the survival game. He predicts that only
Mm-hmm.
5 people will be left standing after this whole
After 3
after
hours,
3 hours.
because the Shandians are
Or
use
invading
this opportunity to go and attack
the
attack the Kami
vassals.
and his vassals.
Uh,
No.
and all the soldiers that they have. 50
Mm-hmm.
of them, I think. Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah, the
I think
vassals each
there's
have like soldiers that they can use.
yeah, because there's all the commies, soldiers. There's all the Shandians all have their soldiers, and then there's the Straw Hats for the wild card in this in this fight
And
here.
then a whole bunch of fights happen back to back, and they're all pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie, they all were pretty
They
good.
they are all pretty good fights.
This is like he's definitely getting like One Piece started off, and I feel like the fights were probably its weakest part, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah. I can.
I don't know. They're in service to the story, but they're not the highlights for me in terms of what
Yeah,
happens throughout One Piece.
yeah. I feel you. I feel you there. Um,
Um, but they are getting more interesting, I guess. Like we are getting better. Like Alabasta had some really good fights.
mhm.
Um, and this arc, and this arc has a lot of fights, and but there's a lot of unique combatants. Like the Shindirans fight very differently from the vassals.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
And then we
and
find out that the Kami
there's a lot of
has a
there's
special
a lot
ability.
of. We'll get to that. We'll
Yeah.
get to that. Yeah, but there's a lot of characters in this.
Oh, there's so many
These
characters.
yeah, there's all the Shandians, there's all the vassals, and then there's like all the vassal soldiers and all the kind of fodder Shandians almost.
Yeah. And the fodder. And the fodder
Yeah.
soldiers, yeah.
But yeah, one thing that's fun about it is all the dial combat.
Oh yeah,
Um,
no, dials are definitely like this is what separates it from the rest of One Piece. Like the fact that
mhm.
Skypeia has its own technology and lifestyle, it's
Yeah.
like as far as One Piece is concerned, is completely separated because the East Blue
Mhm.
and the Sky Islands are way different, and
Yeah.
it makes sense because they're
Yeah.
completely different cultures. Like they,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. It's like yeah. It's it's really interesting.
if
It's
Alabasta's story structure was structured like a fantasy novel, Skypiea in itself is just a fantasy, like a fantasy setting.
yeah, pretty much. Like yeah, it's like a whole new world to like explore and learn the mechanics of basically.
Yeah,
It's fun. It's
it's
fun. I
fun.
like
It's
it.
so much fun. It's like one of my favorite arcs. Which I don't know if we have any anime watchers watching this, but it's a pretty divisive opinion apparently that it's a good arc. I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard there's a quite a bit of filler
Yeah,
in this arc.
like padding filler, like
Yeah, like not
where they
just
stand there for 5 minutes looking at each other before they start fighting, kind of filler.
yeah, yeah. They look at each other and talk for like an episode before they actually fight. Then in the next episode.
Which maybe when I go back through One Piece later, I'll watch all the anime and see for myself.
Man,
Yeah.
that's a.
Oof, oof.
We'll see. We'll see about that.
Hey man, I might just have whatever. I might just have to watch Pacific arcs, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just gonna try and shotgun some of these fights that happen. So
Yeah.
real quick, we're not
Go
gonna
ahead.
debut. So Luffy gets eaten by a gigantic python. Robin gets separated from all of them because she's not much of a fighter, so she she goes directly to where she needs to because she wants to find out history.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, she's after the ancient city.
Wiper takes out Shura using a reject dial.
Mhm, mhm.
And now predicts the whole thing. Blah blah blah. Zoro fights some Shandia warriors. Uh,
Um, and then he does fight a vassal, I'm pretty sure.
yeah, and then he fights a vassal afterwards. Chopper actually gets to fight some, and he defeats Gadatsu. And I'm like, damn, Gadatsu that weak.
Yeah. I mean, he was literally the guy that was like, um, that had to be reminded to not talk while biting his lip.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, that's right.
yeah, Geidatsu, he's a little,
Yeah.
he's a little slow on the uptake of things. I guess he's
Um.
not bright. He's not a bright man.
Uh. Yeah, and so then Robin defeats somebody at the ancient ruins. Um. And
Mm-hmm.
then Sanji and Usopp run into the man, the myth, the legend himself, and Eru.
Yeah, and
And they get bodied by electricity, and this is where we find out his
yeah,
devil fruit ability.
yeah, they get toasted. Um, yeah, yeah, he's really strong. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I mean,
he's real
he's
strong.
busted. His devil fruit ability is broken. And
Yeah,
not to
he's.
mention his special ability that's not even related to devil fruits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, they mention it a lot that the the kami and his vassals can use this ability called mantra, and it basically lets them like it's like a life sense basically. Like they can
They can predict what
like
people are gonna do, basically.
yeah, they can like read people's thoughts almost. They can sense it that they're there. It's pretty
It's pretty
strong.
cool. We also find out that one of the Shandorians, a little girl, has the
Hmm.
same ability,
Yeah, yeah.
and she can feel everybody fighting, uh, in upper yard, and she's like,
Mm.
we should stop them fighting because everybody's there's like 50 lives going out right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of people dying up there.
Yeah, and so we're 2 hours left in the game. Only 25 people left.
Hmm.
Now Robin reaches the city of gold.
Yep. Um,
Is this a good part to bring up? When does the flashback happen?
the flashback happens like I
Later,
think it.
later.
Yeah, I think it happens like Luffy. Um, like Luffy. Yeah, I think that happens like after the ship takes off, which will.
But she searched for the poneglyphs there in the city, but it's not there.
Hmm.
Um, but there's a giant beanstalk that Chopper starts climbing up.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
man, there's so much that happens. There's so many fights that
it's
happen. It's just fights
it's
after
so
fights.
yeah. This arc is so dense.
This arc is so
It's like
dense. It's hard to talk about.
yeah, it's so action packed just because there's so much. It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to talk about
We
just
could
because
be
there's so
here.
much.
We could be here longer than we were for East Blue if we.
Yeah, if we just talked about every detail, um, for every fight, because it's just like it's so dense. There's so much going on all at the same time with this it's like survival game, I think.
But so let's skip ahead a little bit. So,
Yeah, yeah. Um,
so Luffy's in a Python. There's
yeah.
six.
Luffy thinks it's a that's kind of a fun thing where he thinks it's a
He thinks it's a
thinks it's
cave.
just a dark cave and
Yeah, he's like
trying
punching
to
walls and shit.
yeah he's trying to break out like dig his way out of the cave
And the
like
Python is
punching
like,
it and everything.
"What the fuck is going on inside of me right now?"
Yeah, he starts freaking out, starts rampaging around the battlefield. Um,
But at this point there's only 6 people left.
mm,
Wiper,
yeah, yeah.
the old man who we find out actually is the old Kami. Before
Yeah,
Neru
Ganfor.
took him over, like yeah,
Yeah,
basically
yeah,
took
and
his
Eru
role.
kicked him out.
Um, we have Zoro and Sanji, I think, is woke up after
Uh,
this.
no, Sanji's out.
Sanji's
Sanji
out.
and Usopp are out.
Oh wait. Right. Zoro,
Yeah,
Wiper,
it's
Robin, Nami. Zoro, Wiper, Nami.
so
Robin,
yeah,
Nami.
Zoro, Wiper, Robin, Nami,
And Naru
and
and Gone for
Ganfor. Yeah.
Ganfor.
Okay.
And those are
Um.
6 survivors. Except because Inaru doesn't know about Luffy, and so
Yeah.
Inaru's like, oh, I gotta take out one of you guys.
It's like which one of you is going to be the one to which one of you? Wait. Okay, I'm having trouble here.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm back.
Okay. I don't want to
Um.
edit, bro. Come on.
It's okay. It's okay.
Which one of you will be the
Yeah, there's
will
there's
lose?
6. My prediction can't be wrong.
Yeah.
Which one of you should go down here? And then they all point at him and like, you're the one.
You're the one, man. That moment
You're the
was
one who
hype.
should go down here.
That moment was hype.
Yeah, no, I like that frame, that panel. And then and then there was like, that's a bad choice.
Yeah, and then he takes that gone for.
Mm-hmm.
And then Wiper tries to take him out using a rejectile again.
Yeah, and it works. Because he uses, I think, a sea stone to disable him.
Yeah,
And hit him.
but Inaru is still built different even without needing to dodge the attack.
Yeah.
But he ends up taking out he takes out Zoro too, because Zoro is a bad matchup as well, because swords.
Oh yeah,
conduct
swords.
electricity.
Yeah, he just grabs his swords and then just zaps him, fries him. He basically almost one shots everyone there.
Yeah.
Besides Nami.
Besides Nami, who's like, "Hey, I'll come with you to
to the endless Vars,
the endless Vars, which is what he wants to do. He wants to get to a place that has endless Vars, which we'll talk about what that is in a little bit, but
yeah.
And so Luffy escapes the snake. Somehow.
Anera takes Nami to his ship that he
made, and he can power using his devil fruit ability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he basically stole all the gold in
Jaya.
in Jaya to or in Shandora, I think it was.
Yeah.
And built a ship out of gold, which is like damn, that's a lot of gold.
And I guess we didn't discuss the name of his devil fruit. He ate the rumble fruit.
Yeah, it's a Logia type.
It's a Logia type, and I guess this is a good point to talk about types again. Did we talk about it in Alabasta?
I think we did.
Did we discuss the rules behind them, anyways?
Yeah, because we talked about it with
the zone types, huh?
Yeah, with zone type and with
Oh, and crocodile.
Crocodile, yeah, crocodile.
So Logia type, refresher if you don't remember, basically just an element, and you can't be touched.
It turns your body into like that element.
Into that element, and the only way you can be touched is by having a natural counter, which we'll get to in a second, or sea stones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sea stones, which disable devil fruit powers.
Or some devil fruit abilities counter each other, and this is where Luffy comes in.
Yeah.
So you're
Luffy gets out because he just kind of knocks on the. He just finds his way out,
that
basically.
Little girl finds him, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, they got swallowed up too.
Yeah. And so Luffy goes up and he faces him and he's like, "Enero, I'm about to take you out." And Enero's like, who the fuck are you?" Luffy's been in a snake this whole time.
It's like, seems my prediction was wrong.
And then he shoots him with the biggest Kamehameha blast in the whole universe.
He just blasts him, which like would have killed any other character.
But Luffy just stands there like, okay.
He's just like,
huh.
Yeah, huh.
And then Enero's like, "Man, good job dodging that, but you're not gonna dodge this."
Hits him with like just blasts him again. Luffy's just like, uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he shocks him again, and then he just kind of shrugs it off. And then I think Nami at this point is like, I figured it out.
I figured it out. Luffy's made of rubber.
Yeah,
So
which is immune to lightning.
Yeah. And so this is what we're talking about, natural counters. Some devil fruits ability just counter each other like that naturally. Which is... It's an interesting concept brought up early on. I don't really think it's used that much more often later on, but...
There's a few times.
Okay.
I can think of a specific example, but
okay, later.
yeah.
And so Luffy fights an arrow, but an arrow like puts a big rubber gold ball on his hand and drops him off the ship because he's like, I don't need to beat you to finish my goal.
Yeah, he's like, and yeah, it turns out an arrow, just because Luffy can hit an arrow and an arrow can't really shock him, doesn't mean that he's weak, because he still has the mantra thing where he can like predict his attacks and everything.
Oh yeah, and then Luffy tries to go Ultra Instinct by not thinking.
Oh yeah, yeah, he empties his mind and then just literally just doesn't think at all, which doesn't really go well for him.
He dodged the attacks, he just couldn't attack back.
He couldn't do anything.
He had Omen, bro.
He did.
Man, Luffy figuring out Ultra Instinct Omen way like 20 years before before Goku would ever.
Before Goku did.
And so then we move on a little bit. Sanji comes back and he takes a hit from an arrow to protect Usopp and Nami at one point.
Yeah.
And I guess before we end this arc, because we're about to reach the end, this is a good time to talk about the backstory, which is probably the longest backstory we've had up to this point.
Yeah, it's not even, it's like a backstory of
Noland.
of like the land basically.
Yeah. And so we find out that Nolan was a traveler, like in the Miss.
Yeah, he was a real strong pirate, I believe.
And he ends up on Jaya.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, and he's a very nice guy, so he made friends with the locals pretty quickly.
I mean, there was a sickness going around.
Oh right, and he helped them.
And well, at first,
I'm trying to remember this.
He showed up. They were about to sacrifice a girl to a snake that happens to look like the giant snake.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and then Nolan just cuts that thing in two, saving it, and everybody's like really mad at him because he just killed one of their gods, you know.
Yeah.
Because he's like, yeah, stop this barbaric process. You guys are savages, about to sacrifice a person to appease your gods. And so yeah, everybody like hates him, but no one's like, I can save you guys. And so Calgara, the great like Shandorian warrior he's mentioned quite a bit.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, they become. He's like, can you really save us? Like, yeah, they become. He's like, yeah. Then they become friends.
And then they become friends and they start hanging out, and he's like, hey, marry my daughter. Yeah. And Nolan's like, oh, I don't know about that one, man. I know we're close, but that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But before Nolan leaves, he cuts down these trees that we know as the reader was the source of why the illness started.
Yeah.
But the Shandorans didn't know. Those are like sacred trees to them.
Mm-hmm.
And so they all get really upset at Nolan, but Nolan doesn't know why.
Yeah, so they basically. Yeah, they're like, all right, get out of here and never come back.
Yeah. And Nolan's confused, and he's like, he doesn't want to question them because he's too much of a nice guy, and he's like, okay, I'm messed up. I'll just leave quietly.
Yeah, I'll just leave. He asked, like, they gave him a bunch of gold as a gift for saving him.
Yeah, and he left it there.
Yeah, he left it. And
then the daughter of,
um,
I forget his name. The daughter of Nolan's friend.
Kagara.
Kagara. She's like, do you really want to leave it like this? Like, do you want to know why he cut down the tree? Somebody told him that.
Yeah, one of Kalgara's crewmates.
And it's like, and then he realized, oh fuck, like okay, and then he runs off to say goodbye, and he's like, you guys are welcome back here at any time.
Anytime, and they were crying
We're
as
friends
they
for life.
parted. Yeah.
And then that's when Nolan goes back.
Oh, yeah, because this is where that comes in, is because they would ring the bell to let him know. They would ring that big golden bell that they had.
Every day.
Yeah, every day. And like that's how Nolan found the island in the first place. I think.
Yeah.
Was he heard the sound of that bell?
He was basically almost dead by the time he reached the island.
Yeah.
And then so he goes back and he tells his king about it, and his king tells him, oh, okay, let's go back. And when he gets there, nobody's there. They're all gone.
Yeah, the island's gone.
And at this point, we find out that it was the knock-up stream that had lifted up half the island.
Yeah,
up into
blasted
Sky
half the island. Yeah. And then,
And then that's when they...
So it was real sad, because they executed Nolan.
And Nolan, until his dying bed, wrote about his journey. And how he'll still hear out for that bell.
Yeah, he's still listening out for that bell. But the bell got knocked like up to like its own separate place. Like they couldn't ring the bell, and the Shandians are also getting invaded by the angels.
Yeah.
Because for their Vars, because it's so valuable up there.
Yeah.
Because like they can't grow stuff on clouds and whatever.
Yeah.
So like when they do get actual dirt, it's like real valuable.
And so that's how it all comes back around.
Yeah. Yeah, and like they mentioned that the bell should be there in like the middle of the city, but it's not.
Yeah. And that's this is one of my critiques. I wish Wiper and Cricket had met.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
That would have been interesting because they're both the descendants.
Yeah.
Of Nolan and Kalgora. But they didn't meet, which is unfortunate to me. That was one of the points I was really sad about. I was like, man, that was awesome, dude.
That would have been pretty cool.
So anyway, we come back to Luffy.
Yeah.
And he's got a big ass golden ball on his hand.
Yeah, like, geez, how strong is this man? That thing is like a solid, like, that thing's like a cubic meter of gold just attached to his arm, and he's just dragging this thing around.
Up a beanstalk. He's dragging it up a beanstalk.
Like, my god.
And he reaches the top, and then he punches Enel so hard with the golden, and come back to bite him in the ass, the golden ball.
Yeah, because he can't dodge the gold, because it's yeah.
It's very large. and then so Luffy ends up hitting the bell, and he rings the bell, and it can be heard down on Jaya, where Cricket hears it, and he starts crying. And that was an emotional moment. This whole fucking like, it's like a crescendo. It's very nicely done.
Yeah, no, it's set up, and then it pays off real nice. It's a big, nice emotional arc.
Yeah, and then Enel falls on top of his boat, and they both fall below the clouds. And listen, Enel, he ends up somewhere after this, and we gotta talk about that in a second. Because I got no clue how he ended up there, bro. Does that happen at the end of the arc? Like, is there? I remember a point where he's on his boat and he's looking up at the.
There's a panel where he's like, "Onward we go to the endless verse, looking at the moon."
He's looking at the moon. But how did he get there?
He somehow ended up actually making it to the moon on an airship. I'm just gonna have to assume that the One Piece moon is just like an island floating in like low orbit or something like that.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I like Eneru. I can get like he doesn't need to breathe probably because he's made of lightning.
Yeah.
but the physics of that ship should not have allowed it to. I mean, first of all, fly, let alone let alone make it to the moon.
Yeah, I don't know. We don't
But-
know we don't even know how far the moon is from the One Piece world. To be fair.
Yeah, I don't know, man, but I don't know. It's anime logic.
Yeah,
Don't
anime
really-
logic, but it's okay.
It don't matter.
So after Luffy rings the bell, his shadow gets casted down also onto Saga. And this is called back to the beginning of the arc when they see the big shadows.
Yeah.
And then they all have a party. They all vibe together. And then the next day, Luffy and the gang steal gold, even though they were offering them gold.
Oh
They
yeah,
steal
they're gonna
gold.
go steal.
And they're like, "Oh, we need to get out of here before." I think they're gonna be mad at us.
Oh yeah, and I think Nico Robin was like bringing. They agreed to bring them a whole like gold pillar
Yeah.
from one of the from like the bell or something like that,
Just a
and
piece of it.
but they wrapped it up, and so it looked like a cannon to
Yeah.
the crewmates.
And, like, even
So they were
though
all like
Robin
terrified
knew,
of it.
Robin could have told them, but Robin decided not to.
Yeah, I was just like, they don't need it.
Yeah, they already took a bunch of gold. But at this point, Robin has read the poneglyph, and she learns about an ancient weapon called Poseidon, and she knows where it's located as well.
Yeah.
And we also see a message by Goldie Roger.
Gold Roger, how did you get up there? I mean, I assume the same way, but like,
Yeah, no.
man.
And he brings up, and I think I don't know what he says in the message. I can't remember, but
I don't know, something.
something like "Gold Roger was here," or like "I'll be waiting on this island" or some shit. Some kind
Yeah.
of message like that.
Oh, it talks about like I guess the true history, something about that.
Yeah, but and then that's Skypeia.
Yeah,
the
pretty
Straw Hats
much.
leave using an octopus to float down gently.
Yep, he's a big old balloon octopus.
And I mean, listening back to this audio later, this definitely this is probably the arc we've done the least justice to, but it's also the arc that's the hardest to explain.
Yeah, it's so, again, like we said earlier, it's so just dense and action packed and like emotional. Like, there's just so much going on that it's hard to recap without like going on for hours
Yeah,
and
it's so
hours.
disconnected. Like Alabasta was easier to structure because there's so much little stuff that goes into it, like separately, and it's
it's like you can follow the story from island to island,
and it'll set up everything you need to know about Alabasta later.
Yeah, but whereas like Skypeia, it's just like there's very little rests in between everything.
All the conflict and resolutions happen in the same arc.
Yeah, it's dense. It's definitely my favorite arc up to this point.
Oh yeah, it was definitely my favorite, dude. And there it was so fun. My brain was so stupid.
Yeah, Neru is easily my favorite villain so far. He's just so cocky and so like full of himself, but
kind of looking like Eminem a little bit.
But I see that. It's really funny to me.
That is so funny to me, too. Yeah, I was so smooth brain because I didn't realize that Luffy was gonna be resistant to him. I was like, Luffy's gonna get clapped frame 1. There's no way Luffy can beat this guy.
No way Luffy wins against this.
And this marks the point where I really fell in love with One Piece. This marks the point. This is when I told Cole about One Piece, and this is when I convinced him to read it. All those months ago. Obviously, you wouldn't get around to it till way later, but
yeah.
This is the arc I was telling you about when I was describing how much I love One Piece to you.
This is I remember you mentioning a few parts of this to me.
And this is just the starting point, bro. We still got so much more to go.
Yeah, this was what, chapters 200 through 300 basically.
Yeah, 237 to 302.
And this is a third of the way through the series.
Yeah.
Like,
Ooh.
Actually, yeah, even less than a third, since we're on like 1,000 chapters now. Like, oh my god, there's still so much to go.
There's still a lot to go, but hey, man,
Oh, no, I'm
it'll
loving
get
it.
better from here. It'll get better from here.
I'm excited. I'm excited.
So yeah, anything else you want to bring up about this arc? I don't know.
Um,
There's a lot.
no. It's just I really like this arc. Again, it's just so dense and so like emotionally impactful, I guess. It's really good. That's all I really got to say about it. And Neru is my favorite villain so far.
He's on the moon somehow. I don't understand how that happened, but
yeah, he somehow made it to the moon. But just yeah, no, it's good. It's a really good arc. That's all I really got to say about it.
But we're diving into even crazier arc next week. That's crazy.
Hey.
So thanks for watching Two Boys One Piece. Next time we're gonna be going over Long Ring Long Land, a little filler arc. I say filler arc. I mean
it's pretty much
filler
arc,
but it's a fun arc. And then the Gargantuan arc that is Water 7, NA's lobby, and post NA's lobby. Whew. That'll be a fun one to recap.
Yeah, it's a long. It's a long one. But it's a fun one.
Yeah. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah, thanks for watching.